In today's show, the Blazers lose big in New York against the Knicks. And then Candace Cooper joins the program, and we talk about all the Duke prospects that might be available for the Blazers in the NBA draft. Hint, AJ Griffin could really, really help. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard, Trailblazer reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Blazers your first listen every single day, free on all platforms, 5 days a week, coming at you every single weekday. So make it a part of your daily routine and listen every single day. Make it your first listen. In today's show, we're talking about the Blazers lost to the Knicks. They got blown out. Mission accomplished as they head down the NBA standings. They are making their move back to a 30-point loss. A good old-fashioned blowout tank job. We'll talk about that. And then later in the show, Candace Cooper, the host of Locked On ACC and a fellow Tar Heel, joins the program to talk about what else? Duke basketball. Talk about some of the ACC prospects and specifically some of the guys on the Duke roster that I think can, and she thinks as well, can help the Blazers and are going to be available in Portland's draft range. That's what we'll do. But first, let's get into it. Fastest recap in the West. The Blazers lose this one 128-98 in New York City at Madison Square Garden. This was relatively competitive early. Blazers down 8 after 1 and down 11 at the halftime, down 11 at halftime, 66-55. Like they were in it. Down double digits, but it wasn't like they weren't getting thrashed. They got thrashed in the third quarter, outscored 28-19 and was a 20-point game after 3. And it got worse from there. Blazers didn't really play their regulars, no Josh Hart, no Justise Winslow, no Drew Eubanks down the stretch. And they lose 128-98. That's your fastest recap in the West. A return, as I mentioned, Justise Winslow comes back after missing the previous 7 games, hit his first shot, a 3-pointer, and it was like, okay, here we go. Then he struggled a bit. Just looked like a guy, he took 6 threes. It was 1 of 6 from 3, 3 of 10 from the floor. But, he's 6 threes is probably too many for Winslow to take. You want him doing other things in the offense. He was just, I've said this a bunch talking about Justise, like if he's used as a spacer, you're not maximizing what he does. He finished with 7 points, 7 boards, and 2 assists in 19 minutes. Nothing really to take away. Good to see him back on the court. He'd been dealing with a sore Achilles, missed, a couple weeks, missed 7 games, but him getting back, you just want him to play. You just want him to play. You want to see him out there. He is someone who could conceivably be in a regular contributor next year. I think early in his Blazers tenure, he looked like someone who could be a regular contributor. So, the hope is he gets a bunch of minutes and you kind of figure out where he fits in the calculation, you get to see as much Justise as you can. I think that's the goal for him. The other player I want to highlight, I guess we'll go through the scores. Brandon Williams led the Blazers with 14. Trent Watford added 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Drew Eubanks had a nice game, 10 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. I thought Eubanks played well in his 30 minutes, quite frankly. Kris Dunn off the bench, 13 and 7 assists. He was good. More on him in a moment. The Knicks were led by RJ Barrett, who went off early. 20 in the first half, finished with 31 and 5 assists. Evan Fournier added 14 and 6. Julius Randle finished with 20 points, 9 boards, 7 assists. He was just a bully. He did not shoot well. 5 of 18 from the floor, 0 for 5 from 3, but got to the free throw line for 12 free throws and just bullied the Blazers. And he bullied Trent Watford. I thought Watford, played him tough, but Randall's a bully. He bullied him. Emmanuel quickly added 18 off the bench and Obi Toppin 13 off the bench for the Knicks, again, who won by 30 and played, a kind of inconsequential final 10 minutes of this game. Back to Dunn, though. Like the two big standouts for me, like what you need to know about this game. This is why we do fastest recap in the West is Justise Winslow back. Good to see him back. He didn't play well, but even you miss some 2 weeks, it takes you a little while to get your sea legs. And that's, I think, what happened with Dunn. Dunn he's on a 10-day contract and made his debut in Atlanta against his former team, the Atlanta Hawks. And he just looked like a dude who hadn't played NBA basketball in a little while. He'd been contributing in the G League and he'd been playing, but he just didn't look up to NBA speed. Obviously, he doesn't really know what the Blazers are doing. It takes a while to kind of figure out what the plan is, but he was missing some shots. He fouled out in 20 minutes. Like he looks like a guy who was still trying to figure it out. Tonight, played 28 minutes, and I thought he looked good. I would love to see Kris Dunn play with a big who can shoot, because Blazers are super light on shooting. They just don't have many shooters on this team. They finish 11 of 34 from three. And when Josh Hart doesn't make threes, and Josh Hart's like a career 31% 3-point shooter, he's been really hot the last couple games. But when Josh Hart doesn't shoot threes, the Blazers just don't have enough shooting. They just never have a lineup with enough shooting on the floor. I guess they could play Ben McLemore, but he's been hit or miss. He's a vet. They want to play young guys. So it's hard for them to put a bunch of shooting on the floor. And I would love to see Kris Dunn with shooters, and specifically a shooting pick and roll partner. Because in this game against the Knicks, I thought Kris Dunn manipulated the pick and roll really well. Got to the rim, got to his floater, found Drew Eubanks on a little lob, read the defense coming and kicked out quickly. Like, I thought he played really well as a pick and roll guy. He's not a shooter. He did make his one and only 3-point attempts, but that's not what he is. Like, he's a downhill driver, manipulator, a guy who's going to facilitate out of screen actions. And running a pick and roll, Drew Eubanks or with Trendon Watford just isn't what he needs. And I'm excited to watch more of Kris Dunn. I like him. I like his defensive potential. I think he plays really hard on that end, and I think he makes some good decisions in the pick and roll. This is just like a Blazers roster problem. They don't have the right personnel to kind of maximize these guys. So, watch Kris Dunn, watch him run pick and rolls. He's fun. He's smart. He clearly has a sense of how to do it. Just know that, like, your dance partner in the pick and rolls matters a lot. And he does not have an ideal dance partner, because as good as Eubanks is, just like as a dunker, he's not a really threatening roll man. And Trendon Watford's better as a dribble handoff guy with a ball in his hands than he is as a true rolling rim guy. But I thought Kris Dunn, 13 and 7 in this game, made of 6 of his 9 shots. Played 28 minutes. I thought it was pretty good. I think that's what you need to know about this game. This was a night where, Justise Winslow returned and RJ Barrett had 31. So fittingly, we're going to talk a whole bunch about Duke basketball today. Those are 2 Duke former Dukies. That's second segment. Candace Cooper, Locked on ACC, is going to join the program. And we're going to talk about the Duke guys and some other ACC folks who could help the Blazers, Paolo Banchero, AJ Griffin, all that. Candace does a great job on Locked on ACC, and she's got some good insights into who could help at the next level for the Blazers. So that's what we'll do in the second segment. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Athletic Greens. You might be asking, what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things, everything. I have been starting my days off with a scoop of AG1. First of all, the branding or the packaging is incredibly aesthetically pleasing. They give you a little water bottle and this really nice scoop that has a great weight to it. I just throw a scoop in some water in the morning, drink it to start off my day. Got a great, sort of mild tropical flavor, goes down easy, and is packed with a serious punch. If it matters to you, it's keto, it's paleo friendly, it's vegan, it's dairy free, it's gluten free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar and no GMOs, no nasty chemicals. And that's because it was created by someone who experienced a ton of gut health and was taking a supplement routine that cost $100 a day. So it was like, what's something that can make me feel good and isn't going to be wildly expensive? So he created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create optimal nutrition routine on your own. Plus, if you don't trust the founder, how about this? 70,000 5-star reviews, recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts. Listen, it tastes great. It packs a punch. It helps you start off your day right. So right now, reclaim your health, arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right. So Dr. Blazers lost to the Knicks. Mission accomplished, right? They lose. They head down the standings. They're not going to get much help today from the other teams below them in the standings because they're also, you're not just Kings aren't going to hook it up because the Kings never hook it up. But the Blazers you'd like to see them be more competitive, but at this point in the season, a loss, keep it moving. Kris Dunn looks good or looks intriguing. You move on to the next game, and that next game will be Brooklyn as the Blazers get a day off in New York City. I guess they have to switch boroughs, but a day off in New York City before they will play the Nets. What I want to do now is shift gears a whole bunch and talk draft stuff. Yesterday's show, we talked draft with Rafael Barlow. Today, we're talking draft, all things ACC draft prospects with Candace Cooper of Locked On ACC. So let's get into that chat. Joining me now, the host of Locked On ACC, my friend and yours, Candace Cooper. Candace, how you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
Hey, we are happy to have you here. We're just here to talk all about as much as we possibly can. I was going to say this is an RJ Davis podcast, but my listeners don't even know who that is. We're talking NBA draft stuff. The Blazers are in a bad spot. They're in an okay spot. They're losing on games on purpose. They're fine, but they're headed for the future. And the future may involve some folks from the ACC, and perhaps no one on earth has gotten as close a look at all of these teams as you have. I want to start talking about the Duke guys.
Okay.
I know here in this space, we are maybe Carolina people, but I'm a hater. And that doesn't make me not a realist. I understand the game. I'm just a hater by, I come by it honest. Okay. So I want to talk about the Duke guys. I think these are the best. The Duke has guys who are going to go in the top 15. But I want to acknowledge to my audience that if I could spend a whole bunch of time talking about Caleb Love, boy, howdy would I.
You definitely might be able to. I don't know about this season, but he certainly is someone who lives and breathes and dies by his own energy. So he may be good next week. You never know. But when it comes to these Duke guys, I think that it sucks that every single one could go off for like 30 points, and you're just okay. Who wants to turn to be the amazing one tonight? And I think that's been the most frustrating thing if you're a Duke fan, because you know how talented they are, and yet when they come up close or short in games, you're just like, just not possible. On paper, this just shouldn't even be close. So, we can run through. I think Paolo Banchero definitely going to be a top 3 pick. Hasn't necessarily played like a top 3 pick, but he is one who, off the paper, you can just see with the eye test, know he's going to the next level. I think sometimes he just takes a night off. It's not because he doesn't have the talent. I wish I could tell you the reason. It could be the cramps. He has dealt with some cramp issues, maybe getting an extra pickle juice at lunch or whatever it was, but sometimes he takes the break. But he has the help of guys like Wendell Moore Jr., who is the veteran leader on that team. He isn't the guy I'd necessarily want to have the ball in his hands the last plays of the game. We've seen him kind of trick off with that. We saw Florida State matchup where he was the ball handler, and Florida State came up with the win. That tells you all you need to know. So I think Wendell, he comes up big in moments, and he certainly is going to be clutch for them as they head into March Madness. But if I were to pick a big man in that group, I would say Mark Williams is definitely pro ready. Golly, he can work on the defense and the perimeter a little bit, but when it comes to just inside, good luck, right? He loves to have a block party. I think he's super aggressive and just naturally talented. Definitely can make men miss and all of that good stuff, or make you jump, get off your feet. Him, and then I guess my final guy, I would say, I don't even know if he's going to go this year, but if he were, AJ Griffin, probably one of the best shooters in the country. I think he's so talented, but he is so streaky, like typical, shooters. But if I remind him of any 3-and-D guy like Danny Green, we're talking about Carolina here, he definitely has one of those beautiful shots that can put you in games, like keep people out of games. And so I think he's just probably the best person on their team if I'm going down roster. Jeremy Roach might get some run in a G League and then find his way, but all of them, again, the whole squad just has a talent. Theo John, no, just running through roster right now. But no,
Trevor Keels might make the NBA.
Yes, Trevor Keels definitely make the NBA. I think he's really sharp on defense. He's built like a linebacker. He has the size. He's super explosive. He's just young. Like you can just tell some of those young mental mistakes that get in his way. But overall, I think that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of Duke.
Let's dig in a little bit on Paolo. You said he's a consensus top 3 pick. It's obvious when you watch him. He's 6'10". He can handle. He can do a lot of things. I think when you get to the top of the draft, we get obsessed with what guys can't do. So we say like, oh, he can't do this. He's going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. What is it that makes him why is he going to be one of the first 3 off the board in June?
It's just, he's so explosive, and with his size, he's able to handle the ball well. And I think the way he has a jumper, which is like a rare trait these days for a lot of guys who are coming up in the league, they either want to have a 3-shot or, a really dunk or layup. But I think he has a really good jumper. And more importantly than that, he has just high energy. He's just someone who, when he gets going, everyone feeds off of that. And I think anytime you will have a young guy that maybe come off the bench instantly when you're on a ready to win team, that's something that certainly can be looked at.
Yeah, to me, it's just like how many dudes at 6'10" can handle like him.
Yeah.
He's not really a 3-point shooter. Like you said, he's got a nice mid-range game. Like he's comfortable pulling up there. But like how many dudes at his size and his frame can handle? Like that's we can talk. He's maybe not a passer. He's maybe not a shooter, but like so the skills and the body type, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
100%. Again, I think it's just the way you just see him do things that probably took another guy 7 years to master. He just does it like it's nothing.
Yeah, I'm a believer. I want to take a quick moment here to tell you about betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. The NCAA tournament is starting right now. The women's tournament has already started. The men's tournament starts today. This is Wednesday, March 17th show. So if you're listening to it, the men's NCAA tournament is about to start, but it's a great betting weekend with all the college hoops you could possibly want. If you don't want to bet on college hoops, you can find lines and props and odds on NBA games, on NHL games as they head down the stretch of their season, as tennis tournaments, on soccer tournaments, on combat sports like boxing and MMA. You can even play your favorite Vegas casino games, all available there for you on betonline.net. So don't wait. Take advantage of all of this today. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked on Blazers. I'm going to drop you back into my conversation with Candace Cooper, talking all things ACC draft prospects. You mentioned AJ Griffin as maybe a guy who won't come out. Has he considered returning to school? Because I've seen him as high as 6th in some mock drafts, and I've seen him like in the teens range. Do you think he's considering a year of college?
Well, I think when it comes to just guys and how they want to finish their seasons, and maybe, things haven't been going the greatest for him, ACC championship game, for example, right. Maybe consideration Clavershire for another year, learn a little bit with the focus not being on the head coach and it really being about the players. Maybe you'll get a little more shine and opportunity to kind of set things off. So, it's never without saying that guys consider, but, unfortunately in this day and age, one and doners are very appropriate. So he could just go ahead and jump, but I have not heard like formal reports that he will return.
Yeah, I think he's, if he's 5th or whatever, he's going to go get some money. If he's like 18th, I think that like he could play himself into some more cash. Duke has this weird thing where like their 5 best players can't really play together. Like you mentioned, when Amore, like they don't have a point guard, so they have to put Jeremy Roach on the floor. So then that means one of Keels or AJ Griffin is off the floor, and that's a problem. This is me being a Carolina hater. Carolina doesn't have a 6th good player, but they got 5 players that can play together. I'll tell you that. But so I think some of AJ Griffin's problem is that sometimes they have to make a choice, and it's like, hey, you're the guy who comes out. But for me, like just watch him, I think he can be a really good pro. What do you think? Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that he is arguably one of the best players on the team when you talk about just guys who have pure talent. But it's just hard when you have so many guys that you never know who's going to go off. I think his lack of consistency maybe just be an age thing, but he's definitely one who will make a difference already out the gate as soon as his name's called. Yeah, I mean, he was at one point shooting above 50% from 3. Yes. And it's not like he's shooting 2 to 3 shots, right? Like he's shooting about like 7 or 8 threes a night and being 50%, that's saying something. Yeah, he's with his feet set, he's really dangerous. I think he's going to be, for me, I think he's going to be a good pro. If I had to bet on somebody, I think like maybe not a star. I don't think he has star potential like Banchero, but he's like you mentioned, Danny Green is a great example. He's going to play 15 years in the league on a bunch of winners. I think AJ Griffin strikes me as someone who could play a long time on a bunch of winners because he's 6'6" and he can shoot it. Yeah. I'm a believer in the game. The next guy you mentioned, we're just running down. You gave me the cliff notes up top. Let's run through them. Mark Williams, Duke center. I've seen him as in some mock drafts that I have looked at. As I'm like a amateur draft guy. Like I watch the NBA and I watch Carolina basketball. But this time of year, I I'm reading. So I've read some stuff, and then I'm talking to people like you who've watched a bunch of college basketball.
Yeah.
I've seen Mark Williams as high as like 12. He's like in the 12 to 15 early, sort of like end of the lottery teens range. Why is he going to be a pro? Like, why is he a first round pick?
Again, I think his size, I think he's 7-footer, and he uses all of it, and he's absolutely able to block shots. He loves to have a good block party, but his defense, I think when people get scared or timid to go into the lane, it may be something you might not necessarily see in the pros, but he is going to make you work for it. He's going to make you earn that layup. He's going to make you earn, that bank shot. And I think that's something that a lot of teams, especially during round playoff stretches, are going to want to utilize, or even in the beginning when, you have those young rookies who want to play hard in every matchup they get. I think you'll see some of that, and probably have a good run on the summer league team. So I think for him, it's just his size is probably going to be one of his better advantages, and defensively he's tough, but he's been able to be the man when called upon, and not just defensively, but offensively as well, getting those and ones and second opportunities and those rebounding skills. He's definitely utilized those throughout his time at Duke.
Yeah, I thought last year he was super, super underrated. I think he might have gone the other way now, and he's like, oh, this is the best defensive player in the country. He might be that, but like anytime you become the best in the country, it's like unfair to you. I thought his first season at Duke, I thought he was excellent. This is like my judgment of it. He killed Carolina a couple times. He was just really, really good. The other two guys, do you think Wendell Moore's a pro?
Ooh,
I don't know either, so I want to know.
I think anybody that stays at Duke at this point for more than 2 years is probably one that'll have a long, like, back and forth journey or be a two-way player. I think some of his skills, again, his ball handling isn't that great. I think he has some really good shots, and he's a great, person, leader, all that good, all those intangibles that keep guys on teams, right? As much as we talk about, skill sets, there has to be someone who's able to get practice 5 minutes early, stay 5 minutes after. He's one of those guys that really loves to learn under good leadership. So I think for the right program, he will definitely get an opportunity to play. With the right politics of being a Duke player, he'll get the opportunity to, see some burn. But, you've seen guys like Quentin Cook stay in the league and Seth Curry find their way and, have some good times and be a part of some good organizations. So I think he will go. It just won't be the typical, draft name called, we're going to whatever level. It might be that roundabout way to give himself a long time in the pros.
Yeah, to me, I think he's got some intangible stuff, like you mentioned. He's probably athletic enough to play in the league. It's just he's probably a 2 only, and like as sort of nerdy as this is, the draft time of the year, that positional versatility is important, and I'm not exactly sure he has that. He could play though. Sure. I mean, Duke has 5 pros on the team, like with Trevor Keels, like they have 5 pros on the team. They might win the national championship here. It'll break my little heart, but like,
I don't think they're gonna win, but it's cool.
Let's say it again. I
think they play a little too tight to win the whole thing. Like, there's just different teams have way less going, like they have less pressure in terms of Duke. This is all or nothing. And you crap the bed during the farewell tour, the final game in Cameron against Carolina. You crap the bed at the ACC championship. If you don't win a national championship, like, I don't even want them to make it far enough for that to be a consideration for their own health and safety, right? For Final Four, let's say they make the Final Four. They made a national championship game. If they lose that, you would never hear the end of it in the triangle. Never.
It would be, you have a lot of time. That's a lot of airspace on the radio. That's 10 days of free, free radio. That's good for you.
100%.
That's easy life. You're like, hey, Coop, we need you on to hate on Duke again. Like, no problem. I'll be there.
Exactly. I think Coach K would definitely consider coming back. He's like, I tricked y'all, just like Tom Brady. Like, you thought I was leaving. I actually want to end it a little bit better, but no, I think they have the opportunity to do something really great, but I don't know if the squad is the one.
Yeah, you need guards to play in the NCAA tournament. You just need guards. And I think that because they have to put Jeremy Roach on the court so much, it means they're missing one of these NBA dudes. Yeah. That's a tough trade-off. You have to choose between someone who's a great talent and someone who's a better fit. And that might be their undoing. They're good. Like, I don't mean to, like, I am a hater. Like, I'm a hater, but like, they're good. I think
they're arguably the best team in the country. Like, they beat a Kentucky, they beat a Gonzaga, teams that are being considered as the actual national champion. So like, don't get me wrong here. I'm all for, hating on Duke, but I am also a realist. So I know Duke is as good as it wants to be. And I think that is either scary good, which they love embracing that villain narrative. They love being the bad boys, and they don't have to play any more games at Cameron, which they struggle with mightily this season. So, hey, if they want to put on the full armor of being, villains here, this is the time.
We've got a month for them to try that costume out.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado, former ACC Player of the Year, a guy who I did not think was a pro, is now all of a sudden in New Orleans playing like a very good NBA player. Is Alondes Williams, Wake Forest ACC Player of the Year, is Alondes Williams the next Jose Alvarado? Is he the guy who is maybe not considered a pro, but has the skills to be an NBA player?
Yeah, see, shout out to Jose, because I think talk about someone who just has heart and making himself a lane. Like, there's no better place than do that in New Orleans, because the ceiling isn't as high. But I think that Alondes is right in that boat of being incredibly talented, just not necessarily being on a team that had mega stars. Like, they had some good people, Jake LaRavia, they had some really good guys. I think it's Monsanto. They have really star players, but when it comes to just trying to be consistent night every night, you saw that they're still in year 2 of Forbes, right? So Alondes Williams was still figuring out who he was, and he was called upon. I think that Boston College loss certainly put a damper on what was a really good season, but 23 plus wins does not happen without Alondes. And you saw why he deserved to be the most valuable player, because without him, and when he got into foul trouble and you saw him go missing in games, Wake Forest was just a completely different team. I absolutely feel like he can go to the next level. It will be one of those, skewed routes, maybe a two-way player at times, but you can't discredit any guy that's able to beat out this talent around this conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's maybe a second rounder type, but like when I watch him play, he shoots a bunch of threes off the dribble. That's an NBA skill. Like,
exactly.
it's sometimes it's as simple as that. He could pass and he can shoot threes off the dribble. I am, the Blazers will have some second round picks. I'm a novice draft person. I have not gotten to my 60 deep draft log, so I'm not sure if Williams is on my list. But I like when I watched him play, LaRavia killed Carolina, so like that, he's my guy who I got him. I'm like, I hope he's pro. But like Alondes Williams was because he was so productive at the college level. There's just something to it. Like if you are this good at this level, then you could probably play at the next one. Beyond the Duke guys, beyond the ACC Player of the Year, who are you sort of excited to watch in the NCAA tournament from the Atlantic Coast Conference, your folk?
Oh man, I'm really excited to see Miami and USC game out the gate. I really feel like Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong and Charlie Moore have had really good seasons. And so that's going to be very interesting how they play out. And Coach Larinaga, who honestly earned himself another contract with this big season that they've had. Also excited to see, Carolina play Marquette. I mean, I want Armando Bacot to have a really good game. I know Caleb Love's going to have a big game. I think Brady Manek I wish he had more years. Like, I'm absolutely obsessed with Brady Manek. I hope he goes wherever, as soon as he gets a little muscle milk, figures out how to do some defense, he'll be good to go. But other than that, I'm really excited to see the Carolina team because, obviously last season they lost to Marquette. It's a good revenge game. Don't know that they make it out of Fort Worth because they would have to play Baylor next. And that's really tough, defending national champions, all of that good stuff. But hey, give me one win. I would say that's progress as opposed to last season getting, mollywopped in the first round. But besides them, Notre Dame, Rutgers, I think that's going to be a good game.
Yep.
But I'm just excited overall to see, the 5 teams strong and trying Virginia Tech and Texas. That's the one where if you're making a bracket, good luck to you, because I wish I could tell you, oh, Texas, it's the powerhouse, it's the name, but hell, Virginia Tech, man, talk about Storm Murphy and Justin Mutz and Kive Aluma. Like, those guys are the hottest team in the country right now. They have everything going for them. Why not them? I think that's what we're saying about the Hokies right now, because we saw what veteran leadership can do for any team in any type of tournament style. You just call on people who've done it before, and they certainly have the bunch over there.
Yeah, Virginia Tech looked awesome in the ACC. They looked awesome. Like they took Carolina. They knew exactly what Carolina was going to run, and they took them out of it. And then 24 hours later, they knew exactly what Duke was going to run. They took them out of it. They made a bunch of shots in those games. Like, they made threes. But that's the nature of this. Like, they're a team that shoots a bunch of threes and they play their speed. And if the shots go in, they could beat anybody. Like, they're good. They're 100%. Really well coached. They were saying so many times on the Carolina broadcast of that game that it was all the Wofford kids, because as the coach came over from Wofford, it's like, do we really need to relive Carolina losing to Wofford every few years? Is this something I'm going to have to do my whole life, is be reminded of losing to the Terriers?
Yeah, it's hard to beat any team 3 times. I don't care what anybody says. And then you talk about this Carolina team, sure, and maybe a Duke type talent team you could beat a team 3 times, but North Carolina was not beating Virginia Tech 3 times. I don't care what nobody says. They just don't have it in them to be this great this long. They've won their championship. They did what they had to do this season. So any other game beyond that is a bonus. So when they walked to Virginia, I was like, okay, now we go into this tournament. If you beat Marquette, great. If you even get close to Baylor, I would say progress. Thank you, Hubert. We can go into next season with a smile on our face because they have this disease. They have no bench.
Yeah, they have 5 good players. They got 5 good players.
Those guys are going to be dog tired throughout this whole trip. But hey, here we go. That's why it's madness, I suppose. Yeah,
it's going to be a ton of fun. And Candace Cooper will have you covered on all things Locked on ACC. It's part of the network, available on all platforms, free on all platforms, 5 days a week. Everywhere you're looking for, you're going to find Candace. Hey, Coop, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Anytime. Next time I'll wear my bright yellow sweater if I could find one. That's really dope. I like that.
Oh, hey, thanks. This is YouTube only. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to see my bright yellow sweater. Candace, listen to Candace on Locked on ACC. And if you're in the Triangle area, turn on your radio and you will find her. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
Thanks again to Candace for joining the show. Make sure you listen to Locked on ACC to hear more of her. Tomorrow's show, Friday, to close out the week. It's going to be a good one. Do not miss it. Brooke Olzendam of Blazers Broadcasting, a star, the queen of Rip City, is going to join the program. Make sure you come back for that one. It's what we do here 5 days a week, your only daily Trailblazers podcast, free on all platforms. Tell your friends to look for us. Just search Locked On Blazers. You will find us, and they will find us wherever they're looking. Appreciate you listening. Talk to you soon.